Next time somebody asks me what I mean when I call myself a craft goblin, I'm just going to point them to this video. Welcome to the floor! Now, as a multi-crafter, I am usually fairly proud of my ability to jump into a new craft, pick up the basics straight away, and generally just not be afraid to try new things. However, if you've been watching for a while, you know that the exception to this is sewing, which absolutely terrifies me. Well, no more, I say. It is time to get good. It is time to sew the Patti Pocket Skirt. If you are new to the channel today, then welcome. My name is Michelle. I'm a proud multi-crafter who loves to make things with traditional and modern crafts alike, and I put out super awkward videos detailing my exploits. Right, let's go make a mess. Alright, so I have a couple of things really worrying me about this pattern. Firstly, it is drafted for petite ladies. It does come with lengthen and shorten lines, but there's a problem with that because I don't actually know how tall I am. I'm going to need to call in some help for that part, I think. It's slightly confusing in the pattern because it just says taller people should add an inch at the hip line and half an inch at the knee line. But surely it depends how much taller than 5'4" you are. I don't know. The second and way bigger problem is that this pattern comes with a straight waistband. The first thing I did when I was thinking about tackling this pattern was look up various sew-alongs and blog reviews of the pattern and etc. And a lot of people mentioned that the waistband doesn't sit right and needed to be changed to a curved one. A bit of research later showed that if you are not straight up and down, then you need a curved waistband. And I am a little curvy in that region. So I looked up some tutorials on how to do it, and it seemed pretty straightforward, except they were all doing it with the assumption that the centre of the waistband was in the centre of the pattern piece. Now, I don't know how to make a pattern piece for a curved waistband that has a side opening, so I think my plan is as follows. Ignore the waistband. Cut out the rest, assemble as instructed. Once I've kind of tried on the work in progress skirt and I know it seems like it's going to fit and etc., I should be able to look at it and hopefully make more sense of the instructions, and then I can decide whether it seems like something I could do to create a curved version of the waistband. If not, I will just make it as written with straight waistband. And I don't know, maybe I'll end up just putting some darts in it or something. Or maybe I just end up with a skirt that doesn't fit quite right, but I don't really care because I made it and I'm proud of myself. One or the other. So other than that, I think I'm okay. Before I do anything with my fabric, I am going to do what I always do, which is go over with a highlighter and highlight the notches on the pattern pieces, because otherwise I've found that I kind of tend to miss some of them when I'm laying out my pieces on the fabric, and then I end up having to bodge it later. Okay, let's go. So some of them have notches kind of right here in corners, and I'm not sure what the point of that is. I mean, I'm assuming it's a notch. It's the same marking as everywhere else, but it just, I don't know what purpose that serves. Let me tell you, this looks simple. This was not simple. It must have taken me at least 10-15 minutes of gracelessly wiggling around the floor to try and get it to actually match up at the edges and lie flat and not bunch up underneath itself, and oh my god. Also, please ignore those bits of random foam lying around at the other end of the room. That's a completely different project and we don't need to worry about that today. Cut one, self unfold. Fold, matched up, yep, fine. It doesn't fit. And that's the shorter of the two hem facings as well. So what I'm going to have to do there is cut it in a different direction, obviously. I did reach out to trusted source Teresa at Lost My Thread and panicked a little bit in her DMs, and she reassured me that it's totally fine, it's just facing, it doesn't matter which way the grain is running. This is the kind of thing that makes a beginner think that they've made a terrible mistake, but it's just that the pattern doesn't mention this. Honestly, I've barely started and I'm already in a complete mess. I'm just going to place the pattern pieces on the fold and make sure I can see where the notches are, and I don't know. I'll see if I'm feeling brave from there. Alright, I'm sure you spotted what I almost just did, but yeah, I think I'm just tying myself in knots with the theory of it, and I'm not going through things in the right order. So, before I lay out my pattern pieces, I need to lengthen them. I need to know how tall I am. So, okay, here's the revised plan. It's early afternoon and it is already getting dark. I've already got the lights on. Things are about to get real orange up in here. I'm going to sack this off for now. I'm going to get Dave to assist and measure me and figure out how tall I am and how much I need to modify the pattern. I'm going to do that tonight. I'm going to sit and lengthen the paper pieces so that tomorrow I can come back to this fresh and actually have the right size pieces. Hopefully with a bit of time to calm down. Deep breaths. I will not be quite so terrified and I'll be able to think more clearly, because I'm pretty sure some of what I've already said is nonsense and I'm making all kinds of mistakes here. So yeah, I think that's going to be it. I've achieved nothing today. It's like any big scary goal. I just need to take it one step at a time, take my time, go at my own pace, and just think about things before I do them. So that's what I'm going to do. I will see you in the morning. Ow! Ah!
Sorry.
So it's Tuesday morning and I didn't talk to the camera much this morning because I woke up feeling grotty with allergies. So I just put a warm hat on and got to work. First task was to trim the excess paper on the lengthened pattern pieces. There was also a tiny little panic when I realised my front centre and front side pieces didn't match up, but it's fine. The pocket piece goes behind the side front to give it the extra length, so crisis averted. I've laid out the pattern pieces. That one is backwards, but I'm like 80% sure it'll be fine. Now, after all of that, cutting wasn't as scary as I thought. I soon got into the groove and I passed the point of no return, where there was no point worrying anymore, because if it was wrong, it was wrong. I also apparently passed the time singing along to my Eurovision bangers playlist, because Eurovision is surprisingly full of bangers. Don't break me. Next time somebody asks me what I mean when I call myself a craft goblin, I'm just going to point them to this video. Oh my god, I've only gone and done it. I got all my pattern pieces. I've just been through and done a double check and made sure that all of the notches are cut into the actual fabric pieces, because I'm going to be honest, despite highlighting them, I had missed at least one with the highlighter, and also I'd missed at least 2 complete pattern pieces with the scissors. So I had to go back through and make sure to line those up and cut the notches before I sew anything. With right sides together, stitch both side seams of hem facings together and set aside. Okay, so I'm just going to go one step at a time. I can do that. I can stitch the hem facings together. Right sides together. Okay. Alright, so here we are. This is a Michelle's eye view of my sewing nest. All of my pattern pieces are strewn all around the room, but they are all within reach. So basically how I do it is I have my sewing machine on the floor. I just press it with my knee like that. Yeah, some people will be cringing real hard right now, but it works for me and it always did as a teenager. Even though I've never learned to sew properly, I'm pretty confident with the actual machine and with my knee control. So I'm going to do it like that. And if you refuse to watch, well, I understand. So far, so good. Sadly, got a little bit overconfident there and my understitching went wrong and made this weird flap. But that's okay, I ripped it and did it again. Job done. You can see here the pocket is starting to form nicely, but for some reason the seam on the inside is this way around. I don't know. I'm sure the purpose of that will become apparent at some point. The last task for today was to stitch the 3 back pieces together, and of course, halfway down the very last seam, my bobbin ran out. Typical, am I right? Safe to say, I have made quite a mess of this room today. And honestly, I'm just going to leave it exactly like this overnight, because what is the point in tidying up? It's just going to be even worse tomorrow. I think that's me done for the day. See you in the morning. Good morning, and welcome back to this. Quick catch up, I have completely constructed the back piece of the skirt. I've also read ahead in the instructions a little bit and some things are making a bit more sense now. Today, the first task is going to be to press all of the seams that I sewed yesterday. And then, remember the weird inside out seam inside the pocket? Well, it turns out we're turning that into a French seam, which makes way more sense. After that, if memory serves, I'll be stitching the 3 layers of the pockets together, but they have notches to line up, so it's kind of easy to see where that goes. And then I believe we're attaching everything together, so it'll be one giant skirt shape. Of course, then it gets complicated and scary because I have to tackle the zip. And I have no idea what I'm doing, even though I've watched a million tutorials, so I choose to forget about that for now and just concentrate on the sewing bit, which I know I can do. We'll see where we are after that. Alright, so next up I need to attach the 2 front sides to the front centre piece like so. Just imagine there's another one over on the right there. Alright, so we are now about 2:30 in the afternoon. I realised I'd forgotten to eat, so went and did that. And I checked my Animal Crossing turnip prices because I was promised a large spike, but turned into a small spike this afternoon, and I'm so disappointed. I'm definitely starting to think at this point, 2:30 on Wednesday, that this video will not be done for Friday. But that's alright, because as we recently discussed on Instagram, for the rest of the year I'm just going to put videos out whenever they're ready. So yeah, I'm just going to take my time, concentrate on what I'm doing. When it's done, it's done. To that end, next step is pleats. No, actually, next step is pleats. Next step is finishing the raw seams. I made a start on that already. I finished off one side of the hem facing with my overlock foot for my regular machine. I do not have an overlocker, and I'm also not very good at using the overlock foot, but hey, it doesn't matter. All that matters is that it's not going to fray, right? That took forever. It's a very slow stitch. I don't know if that's normal on an overlocker as well, or if it's just the way this machine does it. But yeah, it took forever to do this giant hem facing. So I'm kind of dreading doing all of the other seams as well, but it's got to be done, right? So that's probably going to take forever, and then we can move on to the pleats. At which point I might have to look up an instructional video because the pattern instructions are a little vague, and I just want to make sure I'm doing it right. Okay, crack on. Wardrobe change, because I am definitely not in a state where I should be trying on a skirt on camera with bare legs. Is that TMI? I'm just chuffed. I can't believe it. It's actually looking like a skirt. It's just pinned in place, obviously. The next step is to stair stitch the pleats, so I just wanted to make sure they were in the right place before doing anything. However, I love it. I love it exactly as it is. I thought I might have to adjust the position of the pleats to make it smaller or larger, but honestly, where this hangs, if you imagine it has 1.5 inches of waistband on it, that's right round my natural waist. That is perfect. I have no idea what this will look like on camera, and I imagine it's not going to be the most flattering thing. But does that really matter if it makes me happy? I think we all know the answer is not at all. Pleats are stair stitched in place. There is no turning back now. And now I can't procrastinate anymore. It's officially time to tackle the invisible zip. I inherited this machine relatively recently, and I did find this regular zipper foot, and I'm down for giving it a try. YouTube tutorials make it look easy, and why would they lie to me? What are you? You're just plastic. You're just a zip. You're not the boss of me. I can do this. Look, the needle moves side to side. I've literally never known that was a thing. Okay, first side of the zip attached. I don't think this is anywhere as close to the teeth as I was aiming to get, but it also doesn't seem too terrible. I guess we'll see once the other side is done. Alright, so it is a fairly invisible zipper. But look, it works. I did it! I'm thinking rather than try again on the machine and maybe make it worse, I might attempt a bit of hand stitching to get closer to the teeth and narrow this gap a bit. Then a good press should help fold the fabric in and make it less obvious. I don't know, I'm just making things up at this point. But now I'm all head up and full of adrenaline, so it's probably best to leave it for the day and come back fresh-faced and sprightly in the morning. Change of plan. On Thursday, I had a terrible headache, so all I had chance for on this project was a bit of experimental hand sewing on that zip. It worked okay, I think. As usual, you will just have to excuse the hair situation and the craft supplies strewn everywhere. Alright, Friday morning. It is day 5 of this project now. I guess it is only really day 4 though, if we discount Monday, which I spent panicking and not actually doing anything. And then also we could kind of disregard yesterday because I did nothing other than a bit of hand stitching on that zip. So really we're actually only on day 3. Does that hold up? I don't know. I am finishing this skirt today. I'm feeling good. I think the plan to attach the waistband as is, just have it be straight and sit high up on my actual waist, is a good one. And I'm confident I can get it to work. After that, all I'll have to do is the hem facing and the hook and bar closure and I'll actually be finished, which, oh my god, I'm so excited. So, plan of action for today. First up, I'm just going to cut out that waistband piece as is and interface it in full knowledge that it's going to be probably about 1 inch too big. I'm then going to pin it to the skirt and make sure it's 1 inch too big before I even think about cutting anything off or sewing anything permanently. I think that's probably wise. I have watched the video tutorial for the next step about 5 times and it still makes no sense to me. Hopefully when I've got it in front of me, it'll seem a little bit less like gibberish. Fingers crossed. Okay, I can do this, I'm feeling confident, I am just gonna get right into it. I've pinned the waistband in place as is. It is a little bit big. I think where it's sitting naturally there is kind of just, it is where my hips are starting to flare out, and so I would have needed a curved waistband if I wanted to be there. I just want to be like 1/2 inch further up to go around my actual waist, and that would be perfect. So There's already a slight amount of gathering where I've pinned it because I guess I cut these bits out just like slightly too big because I have no sewing skills whatsoever. But the problem that I'm having is visualizing how this flap works. This is where you add the hook and bar. I need to do something about the bits of zip that are still present here. I'll figure that out in a bit. I did notice, because I've just looked it up, this didn't seem right. It seemed like more naturally the overlap would point towards the back, and I've noticed a lot of people do seem to have made that modification to their waistband, but I didn't notice until now, so I guess we're just going to have it facing forward. I have double checked and I have done it right. It is supposed to face forward. I just think I would have preferred it if it faced back. This is all very trial and error at the moment. I'm going to unpin all of this and I'm going to mock it up with 1/2 inch less and see how much gathering I get in the skirt. I have no idea what I am doing. This end of the waistband, it turns out, should have a 1/2 inch overlap of seam allowance, but I attached mine wrong. Still, I think there is enough there to make a tiny seam allowance, and I'm just going to go with it and do a bit of a bodge job. Something something, cast the first stone. The other end, however, I'm not sure what I did wrong here, but on watching it back, it'll probably become obvious to editing me, so she can add a sarcastic comment here. Oh well. Next step, the hem. I apparently have a blind hem foot for this machine, and I've watched some tutorials, so let's give it a whirl. Apparently, the trick to this is to pinch the fabric like so, and flip it so your seam allowance is sticking out. Then insert it into the machine this way round. Well, that was a disaster. Took ages, and it's only attached the hem very sporadically and left these huge gaps. Alright, new plan. I'm taking this downstairs for the night and I'm doing it by hand. I've got my closures here to hand stitch on as well, so I guess if all goes to plan, I'll see you when this is done. Wish me luck! If you have enjoyed watching me struggle so far, then good news, there's going to be plenty more project vlogs where this one came from. I would super appreciate a thumbs up on this video just to help it get in front of a few more eyeballs, and if you've not already done so, subscribing would be one good way to encourage me to sew more in future. Okay, obnoxious interruption ends. I love this skirt so much. I am so proud of myself. There are a few issues with the fit, alas. The waistband is a little bit loose despite all of that careful pinning. So I guess maybe I needed to go down a size rather than up when I found myself in between the pattern sizes. Or, you know, maybe I just need to learn to actually cut out the pattern pieces accurately. Who can say? Technically, I could remove the waistband and try it again, but, no. Let's say maybe one day. The invisible zip is obviously quite visible, but honestly, for a first time and without the special foot, I think I did fine. It's attached securely, it closes, and honestly, who is paying attention to small flaws like that when I'm pulling an entire Nintendo Switch out of my pocket? Anyway, all of these nitpicks pale in comparison to my love for this skirt. It's swooshy, it's flouncy, it makes me feel pretty, which is not a feeling that I am familiar with. And what can I even say about the pockets other than they are absolutely amazing. You won't be surprised to hear that I've already worn this skirt a couple of times since I finished it, and I'm happy to report it goes with my winter boots just the same as it went with a summer outfit, so this is officially a year-round goer. Now, I just need to go and recover from the stress of it all. And by recover, I do of course mean shop for my next sewing project. I hope you did enjoy this video despite sewing being a new type of video for the channel. This was quite a project and involved facing a lot of fears, so if you stuck with me until the end, I appreciate you. I will see you soon for some more crafty nonsense, so in the meantime, have a brilliant rest of your day and keep making cool stuff. Bye!